So SmackDown has been, let's just say it's been okay at best lately. And with Monday Night Raw producing banger show after banger show, fans are asking the question, what has happened to the beloved Blue brand? I mean, let's face it, it should be working. Cody Rhodes has been a top babyface champion that people can get behind. The roster is loaded with talent, and the stories have honestly been well told. But there's a disconnect right now between what's happening on the screen and the fans at home, taped show or live. Now, part of the problem is that the show is built around a faction that is missing their main character in Roman Reigns. They also lost the glue that was holding the story together in Paul Heyman. And without those two elements, it's easy to understand how people turned on this story. It's also fair to note that instead of charging into SummerSlam like Raw has been, it feels like SmackDown is just dragging their feet to the biggest show of the summer. But the best part of pro wrestling is that nothing's ever permanent. This time will pass too, and new stories will be presented to us. But I wanted to know what your thoughts on this were, so I asked you over on X, or Twitter, I guess, at Conman167, what do you think SmackDown has to do or change? Here's what you had to say. Now, if you want to be a part of these videos in the future, you can follow me once again at Conman167 on Twitter. But here it is. This is what you had to say. So the Hitman says more Logan Paul. I mean, I guess featuring the United States champion and having him compete in more matches and be around on the show a little bit more and defend the title, you know, once every 30 days wouldn't be a bad idea. So, like, I guess that's not a horrible idea. So, yeah, more Logan Paul, sure. But, like, if he's going to lose the United States title to LA Knight at SummerSlam, then, like, you know, he doesn't need to be around that often, does he? All right, this guy's just taking the piss over here. He says Tama Tonga legendary push. Bro, can you just imagine Tama Tonga as WWE champion? Oh my god. Daniel Mina says, I'd love for them to build up this tag division and have solid storylines. And, like, what happened after WrestleMania, right? Like, we went into WrestleMania, the tag division was on fire, we were going to split the titles because we had so much talent, and then now all of a sudden it's like, oh, none of those tag teams actually ended up really working after WrestleMania, right? You had Austin Theory and Grayson Waller telling everybody they're the best tag team in the world, and, like, to be perfectly honest, they barely were on TV. Awesome Truth, you know, they were funny for a little bit, but, like, you know, we had to put the titles right back on the Judgment Day. It was a bit of a failure, not trying to be overly negative, but it was a bit of a failure splitting the tag titles, except for the fact that we at least have the tag division on both brands again, and so now we just got to elevate the rest of the tag teams. Elevate Pretty Deadly, elevate Authors of Pain. Let's make the tag team division great again. I can't believe I just said that. Editor Jay says more of the NXT style package promos. Example, Tony D promos at the restaurant, promos shot outside of the arena. An extra hour wouldn't hurt, since maybe Backlash, SmackDown hasn't had the same punch or impact on our TVs like Raw and even NXT have had. And that's an interesting one. I want to focus a little bit here on this extra hour part because it's mentioned down here as well. An hour more time, become 3 hours. And it's actually a reoccurring thing that I've seen quite a bit throughout these comments. Does anybody remember when Monday Night Raw moved from 2 hours to 3 hours? It was a weird time because it went from us being left wanting more to now all of a sudden, oh shoot, we have to fill that 3 hours. Now, I guess there's a lot of great talent, you know, on the SmackDown roster, and we could call up some people from NXT, and there might be some more time for some matches, but, like, when the top of the card is as thin as it is, which SmackDown's top of the card right now is very thin on the heel side of things, I don't know if adding in an extra hour really will do much for them. It's just another hour of TV that we'll have to fill, and as a result, you know, you might luck into something really good, but you also might run into the problem where, like, there's too much TV, and that extra hour, when they're struggling kind of writing an entire 2-hour show for SmackDown on top of a 3-hour show of Monday Night Raw, on top of a 2-hour episode of NXT, on top of pay-per-views, it might be overkill, right? I don't think we need to have a 3rd hour of SmackDown. Let's just get back to simplifying the show, have a good wrestling match, have a good story, have a good women's story going on as well, and then build the show from there. Have your undercard take over the matches. Like, they can be really good matches when you let them go out and do a great 15, 20-minute match even. And I know that's a lot, and I get where people are coming from with the 3rd hour, but, like, it doesn't have to be 2 or 3 of those matches. Just let Andrade and Carmelo Hayes go out there and tear the house down for 20 minutes and we're fine. But definitely no more hours, okay? No more. We don't need another hour of WWE TV. Just make use of what we got and everything will be okay. This is fair. They're missing Roman Reigns, and I bet as soon as Roman comes back, everything will be fine for everybody. People want Roman. Now, we don't acknowledge Roman around here. He's going to have to earn the finger in the air, okay? He's going to have to be a good boy when he comes back. But when he does come back, I guarantee so many people are just going to be like, this is the best show ever now. Like, this is what SmackDown's supposed to be. Like, oh my God, I missed Roman. And it's like, yeah, he's like the biggest star WWE's had over the last 10 years. Of course you're missing him. Of course his presence is going to be missed on SmackDown. But also, just kind of talking about this a little bit more here, thinking about Solo Sikoa and him taking over the head of the table. It's heat, right? When we really get into it, the reason why fans aren't enjoying the show as a whole and why people are saying it's boring is because it's heat. It feels like the same ending because that's what they're going for. They don't want you to like it. And I think there's something to be said about that. Granted, you could still have the rest of the entire show be something that the fans like and the main event angle be something they don't, but they've been going for heat for a while now with Solo Sikoa, really trying to establish him at the top of the card as the top heel. Did you think that I liked the ending of Money in the Bank being Solo Sikoa pinning Cody Rhodes? No, I was there in person. It was a little bit of a letdown if I'm being honest. But I get it that it's trying to establish Solo Sikoa as a top heel. And I think a lot of people will agree with me that they've elevated him to the point that he does feel like he should be challenging for this championship. It's just everybody's going to focus on his entire losing streak beforehand, which is very fair because like that was ridiculous. He beat Cena and then lost 40 matches or something. Still, I get why Solo Sikoa had to be elevated to this point, and I think a lot of people will agree with me. God damn, I'd be rambling. It's also because there's no other heels on SmackDown. Like, unless we're turning Randy Orton heel, there's literally nobody to feud with. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we need a heel over there. Why was Braun Breaker put on Raw? Braun should have been on SmackDown. And off the top media saying pretty much what we're saying here, that they need more compelling storylines. Right now, they have one major storyline with Cody and the Bloodline, but other than that, not much. And yeah, so like, the compelling storyline is the main event angle, which I'm glad that you said that because it is a decent enough story. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up their ass, right? It's a decent enough story, but it does feel like a continuation from WrestleMania. And without everything that happened before WrestleMania, this is just kind of a mid story going into SummerSlam. But it's still passable, right? It's still something that is like, okay, it might not be the best match ever. It might not be the best feud ever, but in the end, it's probably going to lead to Roman Reigns coming back, so it serves its purpose. But the rest of the card, it's a shame that Bayley is being put in this position where it feels almost like she's an afterthought. And I don't know if it's because the fans just aren't reacting the way to Bayley like some other superstars that they have on the roster, but like Bayley's been crushing it when she's been out there, and I just wish that there was maybe a little more attention on that side of things as well. Like Nia versus Bayley should feel like one of the biggest matches going into SummerSlam, and it's just kind of, it's an afterthought for Tiffany Stratton right now in her broken briefcase. This I agree with wholeheartedly. Gotta give more time to other wrestlers like Dragon Lee, Andrade, Mello, Montez Ford. Most of these shows on SmackDown are dominated by Bloodline, and yes, they are enjoyable. However, you cannot dispute they are effing over a lot of wrestlers in the process. Last part I do a little bit disagree with because they're not effing over other wrestlers on purpose. This goes back to the whole 2 hours or 3 hours thing. Like, I get why people say 3 hours because then it would give more time on the card for those wrestlers. But at the same time, you got to filter wrestlers in and out of the card. What I hope to see is more of a focus on said wrestlers. We saw Andrade and Carmelo Hayes get that backstage segment together before hyping up a match the following week, right? At least they're doing something with them. So it's not a big L all around, but I do agree getting more wrestlers on the card, changing it up, maybe go 1 week Andrade versus Mello. They got their feud going. Let's let them cut their promo that week, and then let's have another banger with somebody else. But again, we got a gauntlet match during the taped show. The gauntlet match wasn't bad. Montez Ford kind of shined in that thing as well. It's just, yeah, right now the matches are just kind of happening and there's not a lot of story behind it. So let's get some story down there towards like the middle of the card and, you know, upper mid card. And literally what our Apollos is saying here is that they need to spread the focus a bit more, get that bloodline as their biggest storyline, but sometimes it feels like it comes at the expense of the rest of the show. Like it seems like other storylines get bare minimum attention unless the bloodline story bleeds into it. And that is so fair. That is SmackDown's biggest issue right now, is everything has to revolve around the bloodline story, and we need to start introducing new elements, new storylines, which I think is going to happen after SummerSlam. It's just, it sucks that we're using SummerSlam kind of like as a transition show as opposed to the second biggest show of the year. And again, this is just from SmackDown side of things. Monday Night Raw is cooking. Like if we look at Monday Night Raw going into SummerSlam, I'm very, very, very excited. And honestly, the SummerSlam card as a whole looks great. It's just, I think if they had this attention to mid-card storylines and they spread it around a little bit more as opposed to just focusing on the bloodline, man, you know, like LA Knight and Logan Paul should feel like a bigger match than it is. And it's very exciting because it's probably LA Knight walking out as United States champion and finally getting that singles title. But like the feud should be massive. Now, I don't know if it's because Logan Paul just ain't showing up to work enough or whatever, but like it should feel bigger than it is, right? There should be more of a story than him taking a pee in his pool. Oh, God, that's scary. Don't do that to me, man. Have it not be so repetitive and use some of the talent in the back. This I'm very interested to take a look at. Let's go to WWE.com here. And let's take a look at the superstars that they have available on SmackDown here. Let's shrink this so that we can actually all see it here. Oh, God, that's a big Damian Priest. All right, so on SmackDown, if we take a look down the list right here, people that aren't being used, they were all on TV recently. They were on TV. Bianca is obviously on TV. Blair's in a bit of a feud right now. Bobby's going to be gone from WWE. Thanks for your time, though, Bobby. It was great. Candice, not really featured that often, but she has been on TV. Melo's been on TV. Cedric's down in NXT. Chelsea, should be using Chelsea more than we are. Cody, yeah, we use Cody quite a bit. Elektra's on TV. Elton Prince, so Pretty Deadly was on there. We need to use Giovanni Vinci. He's not been used, really. Grayson Waller is on TV. Indy Hartwell, not really used. Jacob Fatu all over TV. Jade all over TV. Johnny Gargano, just one tag team gold, right? Carl Anderson was just in that match, and he's been all over NXT TV. Kevin Owens crushing it. Like, you look down this list right here, I think SmackDown just right now, it makes use of the talent they have. They haven't used Nakamura that much. It makes use of the talent that they have, but unfortunately, it feels like just maybe we need more top-end stars. Maybe that's what it is. The main event scene feels a little thin. The undercard has so much talent, but there's just no stories going for the undercard right now. Frank actually crushed it with this one right here, saying they're just in a holding pattern until SummerSlam. It just sucks. And like, I don't think the show sucks. We lived through 2019 WWE, all right? There has been some rough times. We lived through the pandemic era of WWE. Do not get me wrong. It's not been the best, but I will take what we are getting on this TV every single week over what I've lived through. There has been some god-awful, awful episodes of SmackDown through the years. So no, this isn't the panic button. This is a mid-build to SummerSlam is what it is. There's some stuff that's good. There's some stuff that's not great, and it's repetitive right now. It really does feel like, and I hate to compare this, but it does feel like the old guard, what they would book going into a big show like this. They've got their feuds set, they've got their matches set, and just says, okay, get there. Interesting take, saying, honestly, I feel like SmackDown is lacking only because it's still on Fox. Fox has a chokehold on how content is presented. Once it moves back to USA, I feel like they'll be able to build it up better. And the system aside from not being censored all the damn time. The censorship obviously is a little bit of a concern, you know, with how often they blank out the words and all that. That's got to be so annoying for you American viewers. It would suck to have to listen to that for 2 hours straight. It's a good thing I'm here in Canada and I don't have to deal with that, haha. But no, legitimately, it will help. Getting onto Netflix will go a long way. I guess it would be USA Network for you guys in the States. Netflix for us here up in Canada. So you guys still might get censored. Not us up here, man. Delete Tongaloa. Yo, Tongaloa. Yo, hang on. You will watch SmackDown and you will like it. Huh? More promos because no one wants to see 3 or 4 matches in a row? Oh my God, now I understand what people mean by saying no one hates wrestling more than wrestling fans. Bro, what are you talking about? No one wants to see 3 or 4 matches in a row. Huh? Have more outstanding stories and not rivalries that last one PLE like Logan versus Cody or DIY versus A-Town Down Under. A-Town Down Under and DIY was a SmackDown one. They didn't even make it to PLE. But yeah, look, they did that here with Cody and Solo Sikoa. Money in the Bank, Solo beat him. Now Cody and Solo are going to SummerSlam. So they're doing what you're saying. Yeah. Good one. Better stories, better writing. Papa John's. This is just actually so hilarious because that other dude said that no one wanted to watch more wrestling, 3 or 4 wrestling matches in a row. But this guy says cut down on the video packages and backstage segments. There's too many. Give the tag division more time to shine and get those titles off Bayley and Logan. Okay, Bayley, let's talk about it, okay? Bayley deserves to have this run. She absolutely does. Is it time, though, to move past Bayley as champion? I'm personally very behind the idea of Nia Jax having a run with the title. I know it's more heat, but I'm here for it. I think Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton at the top of the women's division and having all these baby faces trying to take the title from her with that little bit of a concern that maybe Tiffany Stratton's going to cash in on Nia Jax. I think that's a long-term play right here. In fact, it might actually be the long-term play to have Tiffany Stratton take the title from Nia Jax. Maybe their friendship starts to dissolve a little bit. Maybe their friendship dissolves when Tiffany cashes in. Maybe that's the babyface turn for Tiffany, or maybe it's a babyface turn for Nia Jax. You never know. Things can happen. So yeah, I'm down for Nia Jax to become the new women's champion of SmackDown. I just want to touch on this last part right here. Cody is the most boring champion in years. I don't know how you say that. We've had some pretty rough champion runs here. It is, I guess, a total opinion, right? If Cody Rhodes isn't your type of character, you're probably not going to love it. He is more of the John Cena, Hulk Hogan, like, say your vitamins, eat your prayers. So that's not the saying. You can leave that in, Editor Jay. Oh my God, put that on a shirt. Say your vitamins, eat your prayers. Good Lord. It's, yeah. Anyways, whatever. He is that type of character, right? He is that guy at the top of the card who is a little bit overpushed, but in the same sense, he did lose recently, and I don't think people like seeing the champion lose either. It's a catch-22 here. Some people like Cody, some people don't. I think Cody's doing a great job at the top of the card. And sorry, one more thing with Cody there. We do have to remember we are coming off of a legendary run in Roman Reigns, a historic run from Roman. It's not as if anybody could fill those shoes, right? Not a chance. It was a great moment with Cody winning at WrestleMania 40, but there is 0% chance Cody Rhodes was going to immediately feel like he's replacing Roman at the top of the card. It just wasn't going to happen. So it's taking a little bit of time to build that back up, but I think his run has been great. I'm not ready to see it over. I'm ready to see Cody and Randy enter into their feud going into the fall. I think that'll be excellent. You know, it's on its way. You know, we've got Roman coming back. Everything's going to be fine soon. It's just, we have to get through some of these dark days in order to get to the light ones. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. A Conman versus Joe Hendry match. That'll save SmackDown. This is also a fair point. Have stories for the tag division and also do not have all your main eventers in one story. That's a big reason why, right? You're kind of restricted with what you can do across the rest of the card when you have people like Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, and Cody Rhodes all tied up in one single storyline. That's a very fair point. So, yep. Make Camacho undisputed champion. Bro. Randy Orton should turn on Cody Rhodes. Personally, I think their story would be 100 times better than Cody versus Solo. Another thing is having Cody turn heel. Wow. where he just boasts around saying he is far better than anyone else. I think the titles are better held by heels. And you know what? Again, a lot of people share your same sentiment there, right? A lot of people prefer a heel character holding on to the championship. And why is that? Because the money is in the chase of a babyface. If you have a babyface, say like Cody Rhodes, going after the top heel like Roman Reigns, it creates money. And the chase is the best part of pro wrestling. Everybody loves the chase. So yeah, Cody, once he finally achieved that goal, of course, it's not going to feel as important as his chase to get that. But now, just make your legacy. He does need a true opponent, and he's going to get that in Randy Orton. Dylan Stewart with actually a very logical, sound take. Nothing really. The U.S. title scene will heat up once LA Knight beats Logan Paul. And that's fair. Then all of a sudden, if you look at that, you say the United States title is being defended, fairly regularly on SmackDown. The United States champion is featured in matches on SmackDown. That instantly elevates the mid-card. So I do agree LA Knight taking the United States title is a step in the right direction. It's actually crazy to see so many people wanting a third hour of Friday Night SmackDown. We sat through years of people complaining that 3 hours of Monday Night Raw was too much. And the idea that SmackDown was going to be touched and moved to 3 hours was just blasphemy. It was like, don't you dare touch our 2 hour SmackDown. We are tired. We want to go to bed. But now everybody in here is saying, nah, make it more, make it longer. So in the comments here, do you want to see a 3 hour SmackDown? Is that something you actually want to see happen? For me, I still like my 2 hours. WrestleManiac saying, stop having the championship matches the day before a PLE. Just put it on the card. Who cares if it's an extra match? And let me be the voice of reason here, okay? I was at SmackDown before Money in the Bank. Seeing Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa win the tag team titles in the main event made that feel so much more important than them being on the Money in the Bank card and doing that. It would have been an afterthought. Technically, the tag titles are an afterthought right now still, but it would have been an afterthought coming out of Money in the Bank had they got that moment. It wouldn't have felt as big of a deal. I also like this idea that if you're not going to use the champions at the pay-per-view, putting them on the night before so that the fans in attendance have actually something worthwhile watching. They have a pay-per-view quality match on free TV. And that's not a bad thing, man. I grew up in an era where I didn't get to watch every single pay-per-view. And so when WWE would finally put on a good to great level match on Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown, I ate it up as a kid. I didn't get to watch the pay-per-views. And so when I got to see John Cena versus Shawn Michaels on Monday Night Raw, a WrestleMania rematch, it was the biggest deal in the world to me. When I saw a steel cage get broken out for Friday Night SmackDown, it was the best thing ever. Not everybody gets to watch pay-per-views, and you got to remember that you got to suck people into your product at some point. And how do you do that? By putting on great matches on free TV. Royal Hound just basically saying what we're all feeling. Bring back that must-see TV feel. Right now, SmackDown does feel like a skippable show. It feels like you can catch up on social media. If you miss anything massive, it will be all over there. There's not a lot of reason right now to watch SmackDown live. And when it was a pre-taped show, this past week, and not a lot of people are going to go out of their way to watch it. Yeah, there we go. This is the narrative that needs to happen out of SummerSlam. Tonga Loa as the United States champ. Oh, I want to see it, man. I want to see it. You want to see it. We know we all want to see it. But all in all, SmackDown could be a lot worse than it actually is. We've sat through some really rough times, and I'll take what we got right now over, 2019. That was really rough. But that's it for the video here today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you leave a like on this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn those notifications on. And then while you're at it, you might as well leave a comment below letting me know your thoughts on Friday Night SmackDown as a whole. Do you like it? Do you not? What would you change? Let me know. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.